जा रहे हैं हम।
आपका बेटा बड़ा हो गया पापा, और अब हमारा घर भी।
Get quick and easy home loans from Bank of Baroda for your dream home.
Welcome back to the 14th Jaipur Literature Festival. We're here at the Darbar Hall at the Diggi Palace. The festival is protected by Dettol. Our session today supported by the Bank of Baroda. Being Indian, the individual and the civilization, Pawan K. Verma in conversation with Saurabh Dwivedi. Pawan K. Verma is a writer, diplomat and now in politics, where he still till recently was an MP in the Rajya Sabha and earlier an advisor to the Chief Minister of Bihar. He's an author of over a dozen best-selling books, and he's been ambassador in several countries, including Bhutan, been the director of the Nehru Center in London, official spokesperson of the Ministry of External Affairs, and Director General of the ICCR. Saurabh Dwivedi is founding editor of the Lalan Top, India's biggest digital-first news brand. He hosts the popular news shows The Lalan Top Show, Neta Nagari, and Dunyadari. Please do remember to comment by typing it into the comment section. Ladies and gentlemen, being Indian, the individual and the civilization, Pawan K. Verma in conversation with Saurabh Dwivedi.
मुझे बड़ी खुशी है कि JLF ने मुझे एक ऐसे सेशन को मॉडरेट करने का मौका दिया है जिसमें मैं एक ऐसे शख्स से रूबरू हो रहा हूं जिसकी पॉलिटिक्स से आप इत्तेफाकी या नाइत्तेफाकी रख सकते हैं और वो अपने बड़प्पन के साथ इसकी गुंजाइश भी देते हैं आपको। सबसे पहला सवाल मेरा आपके लिखे हुए सबसे हालिया टुकड़े से है। एक फिल्म आई थी विशाल भारद्वाज की, ओमकारा। उसमें कोंकणा सेन का किरदार कहता है कि हंसी बड़ी महंगी हो रखी है। ये हमारे पुरखे हंसते थे क्या कि वो भी ऑफेंड हो जाते थे? कैसे थे हमारे पूर्वज, पुरखे, हमारे बाप दादाओं की और उनके भी ज़माने के भारतीय?
धन्यवाद सौरभ जी. Let me first say that I want to congratulate the Jaipur Literature Festival for its sheer tenacity and perseverance in having a physical element of the festival this year. It's an act of courage. It's an act of commitment for which they have my admiration. Now to the question that Saurabh raised. देखिए, I will speak in Hindi and English mixed because I know the audience is, as some people who may not follow Hindi, although they should.
Thank you for adding that. Maybe Hindi or any Indian language.
नहीं, ये जो हंसी पर रोक है, ये तो हमारी परंपरा नहीं रही. There's been no tradition by which there has been any constraint on the expression of humor. As I wrote recently in my column in Times of India, we have as an essential part of Indian literature, Hindi literature, but Indian literature as a generic whole, the notion of kataksh or vyang, of satire, of poking fun, of asking through the understatement, the allusion, the insinuation, questions that make the focus of power uncomfortable. ये तो हमारी परंपरा रही है और हमारे साहित्य का ये अभिन्न अंग है. It's part of our tradition. बल्कि मैं तो यहां तक कहूंगा that in the olden days, सौरभ जी, मैंने लिखा भी है इस पर, in the court of the king there was an institution of the vidushak, the court jester, and the role of the court jester was to mock the king's decisions, to ask the uncomfortable question, to even mimic the king. And the aim of that was that through this process, which the king allowed, the king may, if need be, review his own decisions and also get a feedback that is not coming to him or her through the circle of courtiers. पर आजकल कुछ ऐसा माहौल बन गया सौरभ जी कि अगर आपका व्यंग या आपका कटाक्ष या आपका हंसने का जरिया जो अथॉरिटी है या जो पावर है उसके खिलाफ हो तो आप का मजाक पसंद नहीं. पीपल डोंट वांट यू टू जोक. और हमारे जैसे देश में विच इज एसेंशियली एक्लेक्टिक, व्हाई हैज हिंदुइज्म बीन अ सनातन रिलीजन एंड a religion that is, what Sanatan means is eternal. It is because of its conquering eclecticism, because it permits of diversity of opinion, because it welcomes diversity of opinion, because it flourishes with different points of view and the acceptance that dissent is neither subversive but could perhaps lead to a better synthesis. That is the thinking. आप सोचिए सौरभ जी कि ऋग्वेद में किसी ईश्वर की बात नहीं. It is not talking about God. The Rigved's Nasidiya Sukt begins with a sense of wonderment. What is this cosmos about? What could be behind it? It does not come out with any fiat, no command, not the projection of divinity. It itself is a process of questioning that can stimulate thought. वो प्रश्न इसलिए पूछे गए हैं जिसमें आपको ये ना बताया जाए कि आपको यही करना है, पर आपको विवश किया जाए कि आप सोचें कि आखिरकार इस सृष्टि के पीछे सत्य क्या है. और ऐसे शुरुआत से अगर आप और हमारे ग्रंथों पे आ जाए जो बुनियादी हैं, लाइक द उपनिषद्स, the Rigved and the Upanishads emphasize a essential truth which is probably unique to Hinduism, although I claim as a Hindu no monopoly over it. But one of the foundational statements of Hinduism is Ekam Satya Vipraha Bahudha Vadanti. The truth is one, wise people call it by different names. And this was enunciated thousands of years ago at a time when those who made such statements of fact, of belief, of conviction were saying that only what we say is the truth. Here were our ancient sages and seers saying that we believe that truth can have many variations and wise people can give it different forms. Now this is the foundational statement. If in Hinduism they say Udar Charitanam Vasudev Kutumbakam, what does it mean? It means that for the big-hearted, the entire world is a family. At a time when people were saying that only the walls that we have built around ourselves constitutes the reality, here were sages and seers saying that look beyond, the entire world can be your family. Take another statement, and these must be understood, internalized, read, assimilated to understand where we are coming from as a civilization and what inferences should influence us as an individual. Ano bhadra kritavo yantu vishvata. Let good thoughts flow to me from all directions. It is easy to have to say this today. In a globalizing world where exposures transcend boundaries. To say this several millennia ago with the conviction that you are going to fight against insularity. That you must have an open mind to differences of opinion. These are defining statements of a civilization. And I can continue to give many, many more examples. For instance, Saurabh ji, Hindu darshan में कोई एक system of philosophy तो है नहीं. There are 6 systems of philosophy. The Nyaya, the Vaisheshik, the Purv Mimamsa, the Uttar Mimamsa, the Sankhya, the Yoga. And each of them 5 can technically qualify to be atheist. Because they are not talking of God. They are in pursuit of what could be the truth. Unless you understand, I want to say this to you with great humility, unless you understand the cerebral grandeur of the foundational thinking of this civilization, you will never be able to understand who you need to be as an individual. These 6 systems of philosophy had different points of view, and each of their propounders is given a place of respect in the pantheon of Hindu thought. I talk of Hinduism, I can give many more examples, including of Buddhism and Jainism. Jainism, remarkable. It deliberately, in terms of the intellectual paradigm, moves away from certitude as defined by me. You know the Saptabhangi of Jainism. It is not. It is, and it is not. It is not, and it is. I mean, it moves through 7 steps by which you question the absolute certitude with which you say this alone is the truth, leaving room for dissent, diversity, the exchange of opinions. What is an endangered species today, I believe, coming especially in the context of the civilization to which we belong, which is Sabhya Samvad, civilized discourse. And you have a school like the Charvaks. What does the Charvak school, which is part of Hinduism, it questions the sanctities of the Vedas. It says it is rubbish. 2000 years or so before Marx said religion is the opium of the masses, Brihaspati, the founder of the Charvak school, says that all of this philosophical and religious sermonizing and ritual is hocus pocus in order to exploit the masses. जो प्रत्यक्ष है वो सत्य है. What you see is the only reality. It was a materialistic school. And Charvak, which says the Vedas are rubbish, is part of Hinduism. In the 8th century, Adi Shankaracharya could say, na mantro, na tirtham, na vedo, na yagna, as part of his Nirvana Shatakam, that nothing is sacred. Neither the mantra, nor the pilgrimage, nor the Vedas, nor the sacrificial ritual. What matters? And it doesn't matter the path you take to reach that. What matters is Chidananda Rupa Shivoham Shivoham. Bliss and awareness. So in such a religion, unless you have the scope of lampooning those who claim a monopoly on the truth, if you deny that freedom, you are denying the foundational ideological framework of that civilization.
आपने आनो भद्रो कृतवो यंतु विश्वता का जिक्र किया, और फिर अयम निजा परोवेति गणना लघुचेत साम। ये जो अयम निजा परोवेति है, अस वर्सेस दे, ये बाइनरी कहाँ से आई? वॉज इट अ कॉलोनियल हैंगओवर, या उसके पहले थी, या ये हमारे मौजूदा पॉलिटिकल सिस्टम की देन है? और पहला सवाल ये, दूसरा सवाल मेरा ये है, बड़ा अच्छा लगता है सुन के कि ऋग्वेद में ये है, यजुर्वेद में ये है, तैत्तरीय उपनिषद में ये है, मुंडक में ये है, पर सवाल ये है कि ये जो इतना सब कुछ है और जो सस्ते डेटा पैक वाली जनता है, जिसकी फिक्र इंटेलिजेंसिया खूब करता है अपने आर्टिकल्स में और कहता है कि इनको भ्रमित किया जा रहा है, इनके बीच की दूरी कैसे पाटी जाए? क्योंकि हमने ये चिंता तो कर ली कि बहुत महान सभ्यता है, हम उस तक पहुँचें, पर पहले भी नहीं पहुँच पा रहे थे शायद, इसीलिए संस्कृत से पाली और प्राकृत और तमाम भाषाओं में गए, जन भाषा में गए। आपने तुलसीदास जी पर किताब लिखी, उनके साथ क्या सुलूक हुआ था बनारस में पांडित्य से भरे लोगों के द्वारा? पहुँचे कैसे आम जनता अपने भारतीयता के मूल तक, उत्स तक, जिसका अनंत विस्तार है, कि जिसका एक पांव हड़प्पा की सीढ़ियों पर खड़ा है, दूसरा अभिनव गुप्त के शैव दर्शन से रचे बचे सूत्रों को सुन रहा है, पाणिनि के व्याकरण वाले स्वरूप को देख रहा है, अमीर खुसरो को सुन रहा है, गालिब को सुन रहा है, और शंकर के उस श्लोक को भी आदि शंकर के सुन रहा है, जो वो आज की तारीख में अगर बोलते तो कोई जैन मॉन्क हो सकता है मुकदमा ठांस देता उनके ऊपर, और वो जमानत करते फिर रहे होते।
सौरभ जी, मेरा ये मानना है कि इतनी सुदृढ़ सामूहिक सोच, ये समझना कि वो आम जनता में निहित नहीं हुई है, मैं ये नहीं मानता। आई डू नॉट बिलीव दैट मिलेनिया of cerebral chiseling of what constitutes the right ideological stance has not percolated down from the masses. Yes, Sanskrit was for a long period of time a relatively elitist language, but one of the great mythologies is that the wisdoms that were incorporated in Sanskrit did not get translated and percolate to the larger audience. You yourself mentioned Pali, and you will see that the degree of translations that have taken place in what are unfortunately called regional languages but are great languages in their own right. And so it is something that has begun to be part of the outlook of people's thinking, where Hinduism, for the largest number of Hindus, I'm saying Hindus because your question related to texts within Hinduism, where they see it as a way of life. They are inherently against the assumption of prescriptive formats for Hinduism. What you should eat, what you should wear, what is a good Hindu versus a bad Hindu, what you should read, what you should watch. It is not part of Hinduism. You cannot try and convert Hinduism into a Wahhabi faith, because that is not its essential character. And the attempt to do so is sacrilege. There is no such word as blasphemy in Hinduism. Nobody was burnt on a stake in Hinduism for his belief. Al-Hallaj in the 9th century in the Middle East said, Anul Haq, I am the truth. He was decapitated. A century before that, Shankaracharya says, Shivoham, Shivoham. I am Shiva, I am Shiva. He is considered as the reviver of Hinduism. There is a difference. So it has percolated to the masses. The question is if certain Thekedars of Hinduism tried to convince the inherent, innate, internalized wisdom of Hinduism into a prescriptive, largely ill-informed format of what it means to be actually a Hindu. That creates the problem. And unless you are aware of the sheer grandeur of that civilizational legacy, अगर आप उसको उससे वाकिफ नहीं है, उसको कुछ हद तक जानते नहीं हैं, अगर आपकी नज़र कुछ ऐसे यथार्थ और कुछ ऐसी सोच की ओर आकर्षित नहीं होगी, तो फिर ये लोग कहेंगे आप कुछ जानते नहीं, हम ही जानते हैं, और आप उनसे जिरह नहीं कर पाएंगे. यू विल नॉट बी एबल टू कन्फ्रंट देम. Therefore, it is essential that we also imbibe some essential truths about that foundational wisdom, which was enriched subsequently, taking into account certain truths which a certain lobby of historians have tried to gloss over. मैं वो विवादित चीज पर नहीं आ रहा हूं अभी, पर जो सच है उसको अगर आप समझेंगे नहीं, तो मैं समझता हूं कि we will be silent and mute witnesses to the hijacking of one of the greatest religions in the world.
पवन जी, आप अपनी राइटिंग में हमारे दो बुजुर्गों का खूब जिक्र करते हैं. चाणक्य का साम दाम दंड भेद की नीति, और चाणक्य किस तरह से बार बार कहते हैं कि शासन सत्ता को संभालते समय अपनी नैतिकता को किनारे रखिए, उसका बोझ मत रखिए. और फिर आप कृष्ण का जिक्र करते हैं, किताब भी है उस पर, और उसमें भी आप उसके ज़रिए धर्म, अर्थ, काम और मोक्ष की अवधारणा पर खूब बात करते हैं. और ये अच्छी भी चीज़ है कि गूगल पर खूब सर्च होता है, लेकिन ऑन द फेस ऑफ इट हम लोग बड़े संस्कारी रहते हैं. और जो संस्कार का आधुनिक संस्करण है वो ये है कि काम पर बात मत करो. वो बात और है कि आपकी कामसूत्र पर एक किताब है, और मेरे ख्याल से सबसे ज़्यादा रॉयल्टी भी उसी से आती होगी. मैं ये जानना चाहता हूँ सर, जब आप ये किरदार चुनते हैं, जो हम, और मैं बहुत कॉन्शियसली पुरखे शब्द इस्तेमाल कर रहा हूँ, एक साझी विरासत के भी, जिनको सबको अपने अपने तय क्लेम करना चाहिए, समझना चाहिए, लड़ें झगड़ें संवाद करें. तो चाणक्य और कृष्ण की दृष्टि को बड़े नए नए ढंग से आज के समय में प्रतिपादित किया जाता है कि भाई बहुत सारी हिस्टोरिकल मिस्टेक्स हैं जिनको करेक्ट करना है. री इमेजिनेशन हो रहा है बहुत सारी चीज़ों का. जब आप इन किरदारों से संवाद करते हैं तो आपके दिमाग में क्या होता है? कृष्ण हुए, चाणक्य हुए, आदि शंकर हुए, गालिब हुए.
सौरभ जी, आपने जिक्र किया मेरी जो कामसूत्र की किताब है. ही रेफर्ड टू वन ऑफ माय बुक्स व्हिच इज ऑन द कामसूत्र. I can tell you that while the book has sold quite well, not only in India and abroad, my text in it is the least read. Because it's an illustrated book and people only see the pictures. But that text is important. Rarely will you see in any civilization, I'll come to Krishna and Chanakya, such a consciously derived vision of the balanced life. Dharma, artha, kama, moksha. It is a vision which gives as the four purusharths without exclusion place not only to dharma, and dharma is a fascinating concept in Hinduism, but to earth, the pursuit of material well-being. You know, Hindus like to celebrate the spiritual halo around them. We are among the most resilient entrepreneurs with our feet on our ground and the eyes on the balance sheet. Pursuit of material well-being. And kama, the pursuit of desire. In fact, Vatsyayan in the Kama Sutra is asked a question because some of you think the Kama Sutra is only about impossible postures. It is not. It is a book that is intrinsically a part of a certain philosophical outlook about what constitutes the balanced life, and therefore the Kama Sutra of Vatsyayan must be seen in the same context as Chanakya's Arthashastra. They are part of a vision. So an imaginary interlocutor asks Vatsyayan in the first chapter, why do we need this book? And Vatsyayan's response is that the four purusharths of a balanced life are dharma, artha, kama, moksha. If the first three, dharma, artha, kama, are pursued in the right proportion and none in exclusion, it automatically leads to the fourth, which is moksha. In other words, this must be the only philosophical worldview connected with spirituality which gives philosophical validity to the pursuit of desire, but as part of a balanced life. Chanakya, and dharma, by the way, dharma is a remarkable concept as part of the early civilizational thinking in India. There are no 10 commandments in Hinduism. There are enough texts which give out elements of what could constitute ethical or beneficial conduct. They are given 10 elements: charity, control over anger, goodwill, truth, non-stealing, non-injury. They are there. But in the Hindu notion of dharma, there is always the contextualization of a decision. In other words, Hinduism refrains from saying that this is absolutely right or absolutely wrong without the contextual background of that particular act. Now let me say to you, it's much easier to say that this is right and this is wrong. But in the Hindu notion of dharma, if suppose, I'll give a random example, if a man dying of hunger picks an overhanging apple from the orchard of an extremely rich man, is it theft? Or is it apat dharma, where you need to take some step in order to deal with a crisis? In other words, it contextualizes the decision and it says to you, this should be elements of the right conduct, but it's up to you to decide what is finally right in the circumstances that you are in, and for whatever decision you take, you must bear the consequences. That is a remarkable notion of dharma. That is why Duryodhan, who's supposed to be the arch-villain of the Mahabharata, when he dies, the heavens rain down flowers on him. And Yudhishthir finds, much to his surprise, when he finally reaches heaven, that his four brothers and Draupadi are in hell and Duryodhan is in heaven. In other words, they refuse to pass an absolute judgment. Did you do what you thought to be right in the circumstances you were in? Is one of the defining aspects of dharma. Now about Chanakya, let me just say, Sam, Dam, Dand, Bhed. These are the four tools that Chanakya mentions to deal with usually an external enemy, but also internal subversion. You know what Sam, Dam, Dand, Bhed means. At the same time, a man who can be centuries before Machiavelli so completely amoral in the pursuit and preservation of power. The same man explicitly lays down limits to the powers of the king. An unpopular king should be removed. In his training for a king, he gets 4 hours only to sleep. He says the king, unresponsive to what his citizens are saying, must be removed. Please read those sections of the Arthashastra where the same Chanakya, who otherwise deploys the instruments to bring a king to power, subsequent to the gaining of power, what he writes in terms of the limitations of absolute power and the powers that must reside ultimately as the legitimizing factor with the people in their hands. This is also part of our tradition. Similarly, Krishna, who has many aspects to his personality, from the lovable child to the great lover, to the warrior, to the great sage of the Bhagavad Gita, and to one of the most popular deities in Hinduism. Krishna, the man who delivers what I consider to be one of the foundational, there are 3 foundational texts in Hinduism, as you know: the Upanishads, the Brahma Sutras, and the Bhagavad Gita. The whole notion of Nishkam Karm, to do your duty without the expectation of reward, extremely solace-giving, practical, pragmatic advice to people in a world where no coordinate is ultimately predictable. But that apart, but Krishna cheats 6 times in the Mahabharata. At least 6 times. Through lies, through stratagem. He is questioned by the Pandavas, by the Kauravas, कि ये तो साहब हर मापदंड से जो आप कर रहे हैं गलत है. तो वो उनका जवाब था कि ये युद्ध जीतना है कि हारना है. अब आप कैसे सिंथेसाइज करेंगे अल्टीमेटली? तो आपको ये समझना पड़ेगा कि हिंदू फिलॉसफिकल विजन में कोई एब्सोल्यूट राइट और रॉन्ग का नहीं है, और जब तक आप उसको कॉन्टेक्स्ट में नहीं देखेंगे. अब जैसे युधिष्ठिर, कुंती ने कहा कि जो भी लायो 5 बांट लो. Now the Mahabharata is an explicit text. It says, when the other 4 brothers heard this statement, lust singed their eyes, because they understood the import of what this means, because Arjun had come back with the beauteous Draupadi. And Draupadi, being a fiery woman, by the way, for all the condemnable gender subordination today, in the earlier years of the same civilization, you had ladies like Maitri, who carried on a fearless dialogue with Yagnavalkya in the court's darbar. Arthashastra gave very important positions to women in the royal court. This is a much later development after the 2nd century AD, with the Manusmriti, which is not written at one time, but with texts added to it, which perpetuates male patriarchy. So, Draupadi asks, a fiery woman, she asks Yudhishthir, how can you agree with this decision? Interpreting Kunti's random remark in this manner. And Yudhishthir would be the first to have her, being the eldest, although he never won her. And his answer is very interesting. He says, Draupadi, morality is subtle, sukshma. Who has defined it? This pleases me, so it must be right. ये भी इस सिविलाइजेशन का एक हिस्सा है, पर उसको जब तक आप एंटायरिटी में नहीं समझेंगे, तब तक आप समझेंगे इट्स अ license for you to do only that which pleases you. There are many checks and balances built into that civilizational framework.
समय की कमी है, विषय इतना विस्तृत है कि अनंत काल तक ये चर्चा इस बरगद के तले हो सकती है। मेरा आखिरी सवाल ये है, बहुत सारे नौजवान, और ये शब्द कहते ही कई लोग ऑफेंस ले लेते हैं कि बूढ़ा किसको बोल रहे हो, बहुत सारे लोग जो अपनी सोच में, अपनी तबीयत में, अपने तेवर में नौजवान हैं, वो जब इतने सारे विस्तृत स्रोतों के बीच अपनी भारतीयता की तलाश करने की कोशिश करते हैं, क्योंकि वो भी इस प्रश्न से दो चार तो होते होंगे, जिस प्रश्न से एडवर्ड सईद दो चार हुए, आपने अपने लेखों में जिक्र किया, और हम सब होते हैं कि हम कौन हैं, हम कहाँ जाकर जुड़ते हैं इस विशाल सनातन सिलसिले में। तो टीचर पवन वर्मा का उनको क्या सुझाव होगा कि वो अपने तई इस तलाश, इस खोज, इस डिस्कवरी की शुरुआत कहाँ से करें, और जब करें तो किन भ्रमों से बचकर रहें? क्योंकि आपने बार बार कहा और दुरुस्त कहा कि हमारे यहाँ धर्म की, शास्त्र की कोई लीनियर व्याख्या नहीं है, और वही शास्त्र हमें बार बार ये भी कहते हैं सारी चीज़ों को समाहित करने के क्रम में कि तेन त्यक्तेन भुंजी था। तो कौन सी सावधानियों को बरतें अपने हिस्से की खोजदारियां करते हुए?
देखिए, अगर मैं सावधानियों की सूची आपको दूंगा तो बैंक ऑफ बड़ौदा ने इसको स्पॉन्सर किया है, उनके लिए दिक्कतें हो जाएंगी। पर मैं ये कहता हूं कि आप परेशान मत होइए, ये बहुत पुरातन सभ्यता है, इट्स अ वेरी एंशिएंट सिविलाइजेशन। धैर्य रखिए, थोड़ा बहुत मैं समझता हूं इस सिविलाइजेशन के लेगेटीज को थोड़ा पढ़ना और समझना ज़्यादा ज़रूरी है। You know, when I recently wrote my book on Adi Shankaracharya, so many well-educated Hindus and Indians met me and said we didn't know which year he is born and what he has written. One of the greatest minds produced by a 6,000-year-old civilization. People have read Shakespeare, they have not read Kalidas. The effects of colonization, where the prophecy of Macaulay has been spectacularly fulfilled, of creating a brown-colored elite more well-versed in the culture of our erstwhile rulers than with our cultural roots in our own civilization. It's a huge lacuna. It's a big gap. People are not even familiar with their languages. I have nothing against English. मैं अंग्रेजी में बात कर रहा हूँ, पर English is a global language which must be used. It's part of the Indian linguistic framework, but it is with difficulty that it can become your mother tongue. I mean, Atal Bihari Vajpayee once said that it's a myth that the British left as a result of the freedom movement. They left because they could not bear any more the massacre of the English language. वो चले गए, अपनी भाषा पढ़ी, थोड़ी बहुत कोशिश, मैं नहीं कहता कि जेनोफोबिया, शोविनिज्म, अपनी भाषा में थोड़ा बहुत ज्ञान, थोड़ा बहुत गर्व, थोड़ी बहुत कोशिश बहुत ज़रूरी है। और वैसे धैर्य रखिए आप। मैं अंत में यही आपको एक चुटकुला सुनाता हूँ, धैर्य रखिए और ये समझिए कि जो आम हिंदू है उसको बरगलाने की कितनी भी कोशिश हो, वो अपने संस्कृति के जो बुनियादी स्तंभ हैं उनको समझता भी है, पहचानता भी है। थोड़ी सी और कोशिश करे तो उनका भी सामना कर सकता है जो उनसे कहें कि जो मैं कहता हूं वही तुम्हारा धर्म है। कह सकते हैं, पर थोड़ी कोशिश करने की जरूरत है। तो इस धैर्य का एक नतीजा होता है कि लोग आते हैं और जाते हैं और सभ्यता चलती जाती है। आम आदमी की जिंदगी में भी वो देखता भी है, बनाकर फकीरों का हम बेस गालिब, तमाशाए अहले करम देखते हैं। यह मिथ्या है कि जो लोग सोच रहे हैं कि आज बता सकें इस इतनी पुरातन सभ्यता को कि यही सच है, उनके सच को भी और उनकी हरकतों को भी यह सभ्यता देख रही है। और इसलिए एक बार एक ऐसा कहते हैं लोग कि a well-known Urdu poet, more or less of our times, Majaz, was emerging from a tavern at about 4 in the morning, swaying on his feet. And a tanga wala was coming from the other side, and Majaz stepped forward and said, "Tange wale, jaoge? Tanga wala, will you go?" The tanga wala said, "Ji Hazur, aiye." Majaz stepped back and said, "तो जाओ, आते हैं जाते हैं, ये संस्कृति और सभ्यता जीवित रहेगी."
बहुत शुक्रिया पवन वर्मा जी। युधिष्ठिर के यक्ष प्रश्न संवाद के आखिरी प्रश्न और उसके उत्तर की आपने याद दिला दी कि दुनिया में लोग रोज़ मरते हैं, लोग रोज़ पैदा होते हैं, लेकिन जो जीते जाते हैं वो इस भ्रम के साथ कि वो नश्वर हैं और उसी गुरूर में आगे बढ़ते रहते हैं। थैंक यू सो मच।
Thank you, Pavan. Thank you, Saurabh, for this incredible session and inclusive diversity and essential unity of the way of life in India. Once again, I'd like to thank the Bank of Baroda for supporting the session. And we thank our celebration partners, Diageo. And thank you all for watching and being such a great audience. Do remember to catch the sessions on at the front lawn as well. And visit Amazon online, which is our official bookstore. And of course, go for some retail therapy to craft fables. Meanwhile, please do tweet and spread the word about the Jaipur Literature Festival. You can tag us on our handle at JLF Lit Fest and use the hashtag Jaipur Literature Festival 2021. The festival and all of us and this place is protected by Dettol. Stay safe, stay masked.
Please fasten your seat belt. Quick and easy education loans from Bank of Baroda. Power your dreams today.
समझ अपनी भाषा में ही आता है, कंटेंट आपकी भाषा में ओनली ऑन डेली हंट। हमें पता है आपको क्या चाहिए, अपनी पसंद का कंटेंट ओनली ऑन डेली हंट। रखो अपने एरिया की खबर, लोकल अपडेट्स ओनली ऑन डेली हंट।